We are back with more of what's happening. What's happening as well. Yesterday was something happening, and it was the Third Mutual regular monthly meeting. Joining us today, Mr. Mike Straziuso, the president of Third Mutual. And, you know, it seems like these things that happen every year seem to come quicker and quicker and quicker. We're already talking about the 2013 business plan and budget, and you're already beginning a discussion on the wherefores and why-ases on the election, which will be coming up this fall for, I believe you need 3 or 4 new directors.
Yes, 4.
Four new directors for Third Mutual. So you sort of, Uncle Sam wants you kind of speech. People can think about getting involved right now.
Absolutely. We look forward to having a full slate of candidates, more than 4, hopefully.
Right. I guess if you only had 4, you wouldn't have to have an election.
Yes.
That's happened with the city a couple of times recently. There's only been the incumbents running for re-election and no challengers, so saves them a bit of money.
Wouldn't that be wonderful?
But you do want to have as many people as are interested run.
Yes.
That process has changed the last few years. It used to be there was a nominating committee. Now, because of the self-nomination rules in place, it's more of an informational committee that shares kind of how it's going to work if you get elected to the board.
Yes. That information committee has some minor restrictions. 2 former board members need to be on the committee of 7, so we need 5 additional committee members. And right now we have a need for 1 additional.
All right. So somebody who has not been a board member of Third Mutual,
anyone,
or could have been a former board member.
Yes.
They can contact you or the business office here, the second floor GM's office, and they can put them in touch with your folks, and maybe they'll make the grade there.
We're looking forward to another volunteer.
That's great. Of course, the budget process is gearing up now. You'll be hearing a lot more about that in the months and weeks to come. But one of the things that you'd like to do is maybe tighten up the length of the meetings. Try and keep them, I mean, some days you've gone past the lunch hour, but you were not quite at 3 hours yesterday. You'd like to maybe make that about a 2-hour meeting if possible.
It would be wonderful. Yes, we have such a full agenda that it works against us in terms of time. And part of my motive is, of course, that you lose your audience. And we only had 11 residents show up. We even had one from United that was interested in our proceedings. And keeping it under 2 hours is a goal. We're shortening the meetings in spite of other people's opinions. I think research would prove that we've cut down the time.
Just a historical factoid out there, the record is 37 minutes. And that's actually several years ago, the presidents of United and Third were actually in a competition to see who could get their business accomplished the most expediently and get the meeting shorter. What we found out what was happening was the president of United started coming to Third's meetings and asking long, involved questions, so it would run long so he would win. And I don't know if there was a wager involved or what, but 2 hours is a good goal, a good time. And again, we'll be watching that schedule over the months to come. Among the items on that agenda, General Manager Jerry Storage, he gives an update not only of what's happening in Third, but some projects that GRF that impacts the whole community.
He gives an amazing report. Jerry is such a likable, well-organized, makes good presentations. Yes, it's a lot of information that is valuable to everybody in the community. And if you decide to watch the meeting, please stay tuned long enough to hear Jerry's report.
Right. And he was followed by a report from Wendy Bucknam on some of the things happening in the governmental area, things happening in Sacramento primarily that impact us here at the local level, also city, county, and federal things. And she mentioned a little bit about federal FHA loans and some of those kinds of things that impact our residents. But primarily, I think Sacramento is the place that most of the legislation impacting our community comes from.
Yes, Wendy has been doing it a long time and really is enthusiastic about staying abreast of things that are happening in Sacramento in government in general. And she is well-spoken, well-researched, and gives a terrific presentation. She is an active member of CAI. CAI.
That's the Community Associations Institute, and that is an organization of both professionals in the field as well as directors, board members, and interested folks throughout the county, throughout the state, actually, of California.
Yes, with an emphasis on attorneys. A lot of attorneys are active and contribute greatly, give classes.
Right.
And we're proud in Third Mutual that we are now a member of CAI. We have not been in the past.
Right. And attorneys, of course, a lot of them run for office, and a lot of those office holders pass legislation, and among the legislation that's been passed recently are some rules and regulations that have impacted the boards as to how they conduct their meetings, agendas, and what has to be on the agenda and all of that. And you're even now sharing a little bit of information, not so much the specifics, but in general terms, we can now announce, for example, some of the at least the subjects you'll be discussing in your closed executive sessions, although those are not open to the residents. At least they have an idea of what some of the things you're talking about.
That is a change, and yet it isn't a change. We've always been obligated to give a report on the executive meeting, not always been observed, but now, in addition, we must post the agenda, just not in any detail,
yeah,
as you
right,
pointed out.
Right, and sometimes it's just discussing delinquency. Sometimes it's discussing contractual matters, sometimes legal matters, and those are the things that can be and must be discussed in an executive closed session.
Yes, the posting is terrific, but they're not open meetings, they're
right.
Closed meetings, and have their restrictions.
Right. Among the things that are part of the open meeting is the report from your treasurer, and Ray So was talking about something that's been discussed at the Golden Reign and United level as well. I guess at this time of the year, everyone's doing their taxes and thinking about maybe their personal investments, maybe making some adjustments in where their money's located and allocated for investment purposes. Our boards are looking at it as well. BlackRock, Merrill Lynch handling those items, and one contribution there has been made to, rather than take the money out each month, have it roll back into the investments to build up the investment pool.
That's overall correct, but in greater detail, Jenny Mae's are mortgage pools. And as everybody knows, you make a mortgage payment every month. And when a mortgage loan in a Jenny Mae pool receives a payment, portion of it is principal, portion of it is interest. The principal stays and is reinvested, and I don't know how far back, but some years ago, it was decided that Third Mutual's interest portion would be sent back to our treasury and invested in a non-essential account. And the board seems to have just realized what is going on in that regard, questioned it, voted to keep the interest back at BlackRock,
right.
Merrill Lynch.
Right.
An easy exercise. Ray did a lot of research. Historically, we did retain it, but our reserve, cash reserve, got too low to cover the what's called analysis bank service charge. So we started pulling it back, and now we have over $4 million, and those investments are in CDs, and CDs are now paying 0.15 of 1%, and that's not a very good return.
Not as compelling as they were a few years ago, that's for sure. One of the things you're using that money for, you found out that the dry rot situation during the painting program, some of the dry rot was more extensive than thought, so the board's having to spend some extra dollars this year, and you allocated some additional funds to help pay for those in several buildings in Third Mutual.
Yes, the beams in the buildings were the target for analyzing for dry rot. Now we find that the stair supports in the LH21s also suffer from a little dry rot and need to be replaced. So once again, we're tapping reserves. Fortunately, the reserves are healthy, and we can sustain that.
And once again, no special assessment, so that's always good news for the folks out there. And a big controversial issue that's been batted back and forth is the non-emergency chargeable services. You're planning an informational meeting coming up on that so people can find a little bit more about what's going on. You have an ad hoc committee meeting this month on that one.
Yes, we do. And unfortunately, I still hear and read in the paper that we have eliminated non-emergency chargeable services. That is not true. The elimination schedule has been pushed up to the 1st of July, and the conversations currently would indicate that we will eliminate only a couple of those non-emergency chargeable services on our list. And by the way, that list is available to which items can be, Third Mutual does not replace appliances.
Right.
United does.
Yeah.
And people are confused on that, unfortunately.
Right. Well, I'm sure a lot of clarity will be coming on that one, so watch for those meetings, and we'll keep announcing all the different meetings here on Channel 6 as well. If you want to see that meeting in its entirety, replay tomorrow, Thursday, starting at 1:30 in the afternoon here on Channel 6. If you're busy tomorrow afternoon, next Wednesday evening at 6 o'clock, final replay of this month's board meeting of 3rd Laguna Hills Mutual. We thank you, sir, for joining us. See you back here next time.
Thank you, thank you.
Thanks for joining us today. Mike Straziuso, president of 3rd Laguna Hills Mutual. Again, catch those replays in case you missed it. And always lots of good things discussed at those board meetings. We'll be back with more as we continue on with our program for you for today.